Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. This is our Tube Talk episode, so we're going to talk about the latest in some of the television we've been watching and some of the new stuff we've been checking out as well, and maybe talk about some old stuff that we have never talked about before in our lives. But
some old stuff.
I don't know. Anyways, and everybody with me, I have Mr. Joel Cunningham.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Governor. How you doing tonight, mate?
What? Yeah,
That's
I'm
pretty
good.
right?
Yeah.
That was awful.
You nailed it.
I nailed it. Nobody's going to tell me otherwise.
Yep. Perfect.
I'm glad to be here, Matt. This is fun.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad to
Good
be here.
stuff.
You brought us some lovely drinks.
Yes, I got you. Got us the 0-calorie half and half Arnold Palmer Arizona iced tea, whatever.
Answer honest. Am I fat? Is that why you brought the 0-cal?
No, I bought it because I can't find these anywhere except for Walgreens. So
I'm
there's
guessing.
a shout out.
I'm guessing this guy is Arnold Palmer on the can.
Maybe.
Is that him? Because he's kind of like I said, he looks like he's going like, where are the calories? He's like going, there's no where do they go? He's kind of questioning
He
it.
just left
like
a pre-screening of The Mummy.
There
and
you
he's-
go.
And he's confused.
It's awesome. Yeah. Well, it's very good. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And so, Joel, why don't you actually share with the lovely people about how they can get connected with us on the interwebs?
Sure. That sounds lovely for
Do
the
it.
lovely people. Yeah. So we have our website, which is a great place to get connected to us, which is realreviewmedia.com. You can check us out there, get signed up for our newsletter. Then additionally, we have our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia, and our Instagram and our Twitter, which is both @realreviewmedia. And then, as always, we always talk about this. We'd love to hear from our listeners and get your thoughts on, especially some of these shows. We got a lot of shows that are actually going to be starting up in the next couple days, months. You know, big things going on because of the new fall, spring. Shows that are starting up. So definitely love to hear some thoughts on some of the shows and stuff we're talking about today. We've got a lot of other shows that are kind of wrapping up in different areas. So you can email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Do it.
Love to hear from them. Yeah.
Yeah, let us know kind of what's up, some stuff. Actually, we're going to talk about a show today that we actually been getting requests about.
Have we?
That we started watching. Yes, we have.
I'm not.
You'll find out when we get there, I guess.
I guess so. Surprise for me.
I've seen a number of Facebook comments and emails on the subject matter.
Oh, well, there you go. All right.
There we go. But let's dive right in. Let's talk about it. We had a hiatus last time, and we're going to talk about Better Call Saul.
There you go. So this episode is called Slip. The brief synopsis. I don't know if we should give sort of a synopsis, but this kind of is following up again with the events that transpired the last couple episodes where, Chuck is now recovering. He's trying to recoup from his physical, not physical, it's like sort of mental ailment with Dr. Cruz.
Psychological issues.
Jimmy is doing his best to provide financially for his partnership with Kim in the trying to basically get the money that he needs in order to keep that partnership going. And then you've got a kind of a thing going on with Nacho and Mike. They kind of have a similar story but separated at the same time. Nacho's really come on his own these last couple episodes.
Right.
But Nacho's doing the thing where he's kind of trying to protect his family, and Mike is trying to do this thing now where he's kind of potentially partnering up with Gus.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts, Matt?
I liked it, and I think we had a chance to talk about this earlier, but it seems like it's just a setup episode. Some people call them fillers. I don't think this is a filler episode, but I think this is a setup episode where something's going to happen in these final two episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about a show like this and a show like Breaking Bad is when you have a show like this where it seems like not a lot happens and it's a setup episode, usually the payoff is well worth it. Yeah. Well worth the time.
Yeah.
And that kind of seems like what's going to happen here. And I had mentioned this to you earlier also. I don't know how, but the show is doing a really good job of making me care for Nacho.
Yeah.
I'm caring for him. I'm like, I really hope he figure this out so he can help his dad.
He's so gonna die. That's
I know.
the unfortunate truth. I'm not sure on that, but it just really.
I feel like he's gonna die too. But he's just like this soft-spoken like guy that's like in the mix because of extended family or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Anyways, they spent a good time on him, which actually the whole pill exchange sequence was kind of like nerve-wracking to me. I was kind of like. I was like, what's gonna happen?
Especially the bottle flip that he did.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, how many times he must have had to practice getting that bottle flip down to get it right in that pocket. I mean,
I know.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I like this episode more than the last two. Although I agree with you, definitely, with with this series. There is a lot of episodes that could kind of be constituted as filler that do end up informing later episodes. It kind of really has, maybe not filler, but it's just felt like a little bit weak in regards to overall plot progression over the last couple episodes. It's felt very much like the things that are taking place could have been, done in one episode versus 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So this episode was the first one in a while where I think it really felt like they were setting things up directly that are going to correlate to some issues and some drama and some potential deaths with some of the coming episode stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about the next episode, and I thought that this was a good one. One thing that's kind of been frustrating to me a little bit is kind of, and they might be doing this on purpose a little bit, but Jimmy just kind of feels like he's stalled.
Yeah.
He's very much felt like he's just kind of, he's gotten his revenge against Chuck. But he's stuck in this kind of loop now where he's just trying to find money, and he's trying to do it the right way. But then you kind of now have seen him sort of tiptoeing back into darker
he's hustling
territories.
people now. Yeah.
Right. He's gone back to the hustling side of things. So he's gone a little bit kind of like, I'm seeing him go in circles a little bit.
Well,
so
yeah,
it's getting a little tired.
But that's kind of how he ends up as Saul Goodman when he's in his law practice. He's kind of just like, I can, turn a blind eye to that and do that. But I
would say the one thing about this episode that I didn't need necessarily, that I didn't really enjoy, again, it could be for a future episode, but I really don't need to see Chuck working to overcome necessarily his mental disorder. It's not that I don't think that he should overcome it or care about that, but Chuck's never been an important enough character to me and a significant enough character that I've liked, that I've wanted to see become successful, to care about him overcoming his mental disorder. And they spent a pretty large amount of time, not a large, but considering how important his character is to me, a large amount of time, this episode and the last couple episodes, showing him trying to kind of recover from his disorder.
Nobody likes Chuck.
Nobody likes Chuck. So it's like, I didn't really need that. I didn't really need that extra time. And they could have given me 1 or 2 kind of quick shots of that over the last couple episodes, and I would have been completely fine with just picking up with where it is right now.
Yeah.
So I think the heart of these last couple episodes has been Kim and Jimmy's relationship.
Yeah.
Which has been an ongoing thing of like where they're at and where that's going to go, and are they going to find success together or not? And then Nacho, really.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing about this episode as well is we've seen Gus and Mike have made like an official partnership.
Yeah.
Which we don't know how long or how fruitful that's going to be, but we know that is going to eventually, their partnership is going to meet up, with the Breaking Bad storyline. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I was excited to see that.
For sure.
And it made sense. It didn't come out of like a sense of like there had been preceding things that really made it feel like it was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense for why he went to Gus to do that, but it made sense why he would do that.
Yeah.
I
think next season, if it doesn't happen by the end of this season, in the next 2 episodes, I think what we're going to see, I think we're going to see him hanging out in the back of an Los Pollos Hermanos truck with his gun, waiting for people to try and hijack it.
Yeah, that's quite possible.
Yeah. So we'll see how that happens, but I liked it. I like seeing a lot of the little relational quirks. I like seeing Jimmy just kind of down on his luck, and really the only way that he could get ahead is being shady.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's kind of who he is,
Yeah.
His brother, as much as we don't like Chuck, is right. He's slipping Jimmy, and he's always like conniving and stuff,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think like this episode, the backstory with the Jimmy and Marco, the flashback scene, was cool. But again, they're retreading stuff we already kind of knew. They give a little bit more information, but again, we're just showing that like, yeah, his dad was a pushover, and so Jimmy started, stealing and doing the things and tricking people because his dad was such a pushover and he didn't want to be one himself.
Right.
So there's some like minor plot progression points. I'm just really hoping like the big thing that's kind of been set up here now is what Nacho took care of with the pill swap, and that could have huge impacts on not just Nacho but also on Mike, on Gus, because Gus has been very adamant that like things need to happen a very particular way with Hector. So that could have huge repercussions on that whole relationship. And we'll see if it actually ends up being where sort of it's Hector's downfall or not.
Right.
So I'm interested to see that, and I'm interested. I don't know where we're going with Jimmy at the moment, because it's like he's kind of tiptoed back into doing some more dangerous kind of territory stuff. They're building something up potentially with the whole insurance stuff.
Yeah.
For him and Chuck, but I don't know. Maybe Chuck in the background is doing something again to get back at Jimmy, and we don't know. But we'll see.
We shall see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if I had to rate this thing, I'd give it like a 7.5.
Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 7.25
Okay.
out of 10.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that is Better Call Saul. We'll catch the penultimate episode or the second from the last episode next week.
Which is called Fall. So maybe that's
Fall. So this
sign of
one
bad
was
things
slip.
to come.
This next one's fall.
Yeah.
So next, I actually want to kind of get your thoughts. You got a chance to wrap up the latest season of House of Cards.
Yes, season 5.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just discuss it really quick because there was a few kind of ongoing questions that I'd had about the series. And House of Cards is one of those shows that kind of the beginning of the season really starts out usually with some pretty crazy stuff. And then usually the last couple episodes as well, some pretty crazy stuff happens. And this was no exception in some ways.
Okay.
There was definitely some really pretty intense stuff that happened at the end of the season. And it left a bit of a, I don't know, the taste in my mouth kind of at the end was it wasn't as satisfying as I've gotten from prior seasons. I think it was definitely stronger than maybe season 3 finale and ending, and probably maybe a little less than satisfying than season 4's, and definitely less than season 2 and 1. It kind of felt a bit, this season has felt a bit too obvious. And I think one of the things that I've loved so much about the show is that they've tried to build things, and this is kind of this tightening wire, and then something happens that makes sense and is real, but it wasn't like necessarily there was kind of like this thing going on in the background that you just like never knew about, but then that kind of happens, but usually it's like things just boil over by the end of the episodes, and then it becomes this crazy scenario. This one felt like they presented something that happened at the very end of the season that was like a very crazy, like what type scenario, but it felt very manipulative in this season, and it kind of felt like the main idea at this point is that Frank and Claire have always kind of loved each other but hated each other. They're kind of like their own worst enemies.
Yeah.
They're each other's worst enemies, but they're also their own like partners at the same time. And they've kind of built up over the course of all the episodes and all the seasons this kind of love-hate relationship that they've had. And it made complete sense. And then this season, it's been very obvious the whole way through that people have been constantly hinting at like, oh, Claire, you need to be president, and Claire, you need to be in charge, and Claire, you need to do this, and da-da-da. And it's been just very, very obvious that that's kind of the direction that they were eventually going to take it in.
Right.
And they present that situation in a way, I don't want to spoil it too much. I'm trying to tiptoe around it a little bit.
You can tiptoe around it. Just keep in mind if you haven't listened to Tube Talk before, we do spoil things. So
yeah, right. So I will go so far as to say that there's a shifting that happens at the end. I'm not going to say how or what or where, but the way that comes about it felt very manipulated, because up until this point, one character has been pretty much all this. This is all I wanted. This is all I wanted. This is all I wanted. But then at the end of the season, they're like, no, that's not what I wanted. I want this, which was never really presented anywhere through the episodes or through the season. It was kind of just like, well, we need to put these two, Frank and Claire, we need to put them on opposing sides. We need to have them attack each other and battle it out and duke it out. And so it felt very manipulated that they had to create this really ridiculous scenario in order to put them on now what are opposing sides and opposing forces. And it felt very unrealistic because, I don't know, it didn't seem like it made sense for why they did what they did in the way that they did it. And so it hasn't left me with a very satisfying feeling. There was another twist as far as I think what Claire was willing to do in this season that was just like, whoa, that was really shocking to me.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil that because that was really intense.
Okay.
And so I don't know. It's just feeling like maybe this needs to be the last season coming up.
Okay.
Because I think it seems like they've signed up at this point for almost the path of mutual destruction.
Yeah.
Like not them in particular, but the show is kind of set it up for.
It's a House of Cards, so that they're building it up to have it all come crashing down at some point. I mean, that's kind of what I get from it.
Right. I mean, and people, you can only get away with some of these Machiavellian tactics up so far, up to so point, to go so far with it before it's going to fall apart in a certain way. I don't know. You've generally ended all of these prior seasons with this like really horrible sense of like, oh my gosh, these people are just so crazy intelligent and
Right.
manipulative and good at what they do that they're able to stay in power. This season's ending felt more of just like, well, I guess they're going that way.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. One thing in particular, there was like a scene like with Francis where he does this thing, and I'm not going to spoil who, but he like it was the most stupid thing ever. They have these, obviously these fourth wall breaks where things will like he'll say things to the camera and he kind of does things, interacts with the camera, and Claire is starting to do that now because they're presenting her as like
Okay.
an equal to him, which I'm totally fine with, but I don't need that.
Mhm.
I feel like it makes her stronger to not have her interact with the camera, that she's more just caught up in trying to just be this
Sure.
like she's got a strength enough that she doesn't need that fourth wall to break, whereas Francis, it feels like he's almost like he needs the listener and the viewer, because it's like a voice that he can talk to, where he can unload thoughts and aspects and feelings. And so she kind of breaks the fourth wall a bit in this one, and I didn't like that. And then additionally, there's a scene where he literally takes out a character. Like, he doesn't kill them, but he like does something to them, and it's like the most abrupt. It happens at the very beginning of the episode. It just kind of happens, and then it's like, well, that happened, and then that just kind of goes into the rest. But it feels so ridiculous because I'm gonna spoil a little bit. Like, he just pushes them downstairs, and that's such a unrealistic thing to like. The idea of just like, well, that would potentially, I mean, somebody could really easily survive getting pushed down a set of stairs. Somebody really could, I mean, they could catch themselves. They could maybe break a bone or a collarbone or something like that. But like, this person is incapacitated completely, and it's like they're going to die. And it's like, why? Because he does it at the White House. So it's like, why would you do that? Why would you push somebody down a flight of stairs and he like makes sure that he's out of camera view? But that's kind of that's kind of the feeling that I got. It's like they needed to accomplish a couple things really quickly, and they just did it. Because it was like, well, we just need to do this. You know what I mean?
He's an evil dude. I
yeah,
know, but
I'm fine with him being evil. Like, I'm not fine with it, but like, I know that
You're
this
right.
part of his character, and I expect that of him. But I don't know. Like, if you're in a situation where you need to like silence somebody, you don't push them
Use
down
a silencer.
Well, you kill them. You know what I mean? And they've already shown that they're willing to go to lengths of actually killing somebody, even in that episode. So it's like, why would you push somebody down a flight of stairs
Right.
when you don't know what that's going to accomplish? That's like, I'm going to trip somebody and hope that incapacitates them.
Fingers
It's just
crossed.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe you could say he's relying on a pardon because the whole pardon thing is going on, but I don't think you could get away with some of the, I don't know. So yeah. So overall, I still want to see where the series goes. I think my overall rating of this season is probably around a 7.8 or so out of 10
Cool.
for this season.
I can dig it. I'll still probably catch up. I'm still 2 seasons behind now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that actually takes us into our next show we want to talk about. This is our last one. This is a show I was alluding to earlier that we
Is
had,
it?
yeah, that
This
we,
is the one?
yeah, that we were getting messages about checking out. So you and I actually checked out the first episode.
I'm through this about half of the second as well.
But we're only going to talk about the first episode.
So I'm like
right
50% further than you are.
So we watched the very first episode of Travelers,
Yeah.
which is a Netflix original.
Yep.
And
Sort of a sci-fi drama suspense type
right
at the moment. It could change,
Right.
but yeah.
So I want to kind of give the synopsis too, just because it's kind of crazy, and I'm not, just because I'm only one episode in, I still feel like I have no idea what's happening.
Trust me, I know a lot more than you do.
Right, I know a whole 20
this
minutes
point.
ahead of me.
Yeah.
So, hundreds of years from now, surviving humans discover how to send consciousness back through time into people of the 21st century. Are you okay?
I'm coughing, yeah.
I thought you were doing the spit take like you were laughing at something.
No, I'm coughing.
Okay, everybody, Joel is coughing.
I'm coughing, sorry.
It's that tea that I gave you.
Yeah, it's this Arnold Palmer stuff.
Yep. So hundreds of years from now, surviving humans discover how to send consciousness back through time into people of the 21st century while attempting to save humanity from a terrible future. So it kind of has that like Terminator vibe.
Yeah.
So basically they're like, hey, and this happens at the end of the episode, the first episode, they're like, hey, we are here from a bleak future where like humanity and the earth is all but destroyed or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're trying to prevent that from happening by sending our consciousness back in time to change that here.
Yeah.
How? We have no idea. Just because they haven't done anything in the
Yeah.
basically the whole first episode is you getting introduced to like the main group of people, the main travelers, if
Right.
you will.
Right.
And it's really interesting. And I will say this about the show. It does a really good job at, one, not looking like a TV show. It has a lot of very cinematic qualities to it.
Yeah.
At the
It's well
same,
shot.
Yes, exactly. And at the same time, it's engaging in a sense where you're like, what is happening? Like, it's not like an eye roll thing every 10 minutes where something happens. Like, okay, come on. Okay.
Yeah.
It's taken in a very serious way where when people die, in this present time, it's like within
About to die. Yeah.
That's when the travelers send their consciousness back to take over this person that's about to die.
Yeah.
And, it's them, you see them like trying to figure out like who they are and interact with other people. And it's really interesting. I will say this, it's very, very interesting. And I am actually interested in still watching. I want to, It just got picked up for a second season. So it's definitely, it's got a following.
Yeah.
And the ending was a little weird for me because I kind of like the Eric McCormick, character.
Yeah.
And then,
But she's still in it.
right, he's still
There's
in
actually,
it.
I will say this, there's a funny line in the second episode where they more or less tell you he's gonna be the same all the way through. I mean,
Right.
in the second episode, one of the girls goes like, yeah, he's actually really, like, the guy that you took over is actually very similar to you.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much going to be the same. So you don't really lose a whole lot.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
He kind of got upgraded, but he's going to be pretty much the same guy.
The one thing I really like, though, is that there is this like element of before a person dies where this like clock shows up on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's like, got like a minute left to live or like, 30 seconds left to live. And you're like, oh, what's going to happen?
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, at this point, I know they're probably doing this on purpose, but I actually kind of almost wished we'd gotten a glimpse of the future.
Maybe they
I think
will.
a little bit. And they probably, like I said, they're probably doing that on purpose.
Skynet took over.
Right. But the reason I'm saying that is because it's like, well, they have the internet. They can search out social media sites. Additionally, they have the technology to do this brain transfer thing. How bad off is it? Because if it's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland, then you wouldn't expect them to have working internet.
Wi-Fi.
You wouldn't expect them to, we'll have Wi-Fi. I mean, the internet, like, system, if you know how the system of the internet works, it's a network of computers that are connected all around the country.
We got to
around
go
the
find
globe.
where they turn off the internet.
Right. So it's like you have server computers. So it's like they obviously have electricity. So it's like, how bad off is it? So I almost kind of wish, because now I'm kind of left wondering, is it's just like and maybe that has to do with what the tone and the style they're going for here, because it feels kind of like science fiction light in a way. They're not really going like hot and heavy on the whole sci-fi talk. It's much more. It seems like much more about the character dramas,
right,
and the character interactions with each other.
Yeah,
and so that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're doing it on purpose, that they're not kind of showing that stuff. I think I'm still waiting at this point to. And I think with any show, it's good to give it at least 3 episodes to really engage and lock in with the characters.
Yeah, I'm not there with the characters yet either.
Yeah, I think the most I'm connected with is Eric McCormick's character named Grant, because I recognize him and he's kind of like a face that I know, and he's kind of an interesting guy in the show. He plays this FBI agent, but he's like kind of lovable almost. He's like a nice FBI
really
guy.
Dry humor.
Right. And then you have Mackenzie Porter, which I don't recognize her from anything, but she plays an interesting character. Yeah. Like, she has, out of all the other characters, is kind of presented the most interest to me as far as like, so I don't know. She was the first character you saw when they started the show and everything like that. So I don't know. I'm interested to keep it going.
Yeah, we'll check it out. So thanks for the suggestion, guys. And I say for episode 1, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a rate. It's piqued my interest. I give it a 7.5.
Cool.
Would you rate it something, episode 1?
Yeah, I'd give it a little higher, actually. I think maybe like a 7.8 out of 10.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, that's it for our Tube Talk reviews on our shows. But again, I want to remind you, if you have some suggestions, you want us to pick up some new things or check out some things, we are very busy, but at the same time, we want to try and we like finding new gems, new shows as well. So
absolutely.
If you want to let us know about it, find us on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Real Review Media. And also email us, realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Check out our website, get connected to our social media universe, social content and universe, interconnected dark universe.
No. We can't make that claim anyway.
No.
I mean, we're just saying
Yeah.
bad things about ourselves if we say dark humor.
Right.
I'm kidding.
So, yeah. Anything else you want to add, Joel?
No, I think I'm good.
Well, that's it. It's been real.
It's been real.